How's it going, everyone? It's Lumity here, and today we are going to be talking about a pretty cool game on the Nintendo Switch, and it's a really cheap game as well. We're going to be talking about Bridge Strike. Now, Bridge Strike is essentially a spiritual successor to the Atari 2600 game River Raid. And I gotta say, it's a pretty darn good spiritual successor. And like I said, this game is incredibly cheap. I got it for less than $1. In fact, it's actually part of a bundle of games that you can get for $1. It says that the sale is going on for like 1,000 days. I don't know what's going on with that. I don't know if like maybe one of the companies went under or something like that. I don't know. I've seen that before on the Nintendo Switch eShop where they're just, doing deep discounts on multiple games all at the same time. I don't know why they do that, but I mean, I guess it's a good thing because this game is really cheap now and it's actually a really fun game, and I'm glad that I checked it out. So, if you like the original River Raid game, you're probably going to enjoy this. It really takes the original concept of River Raid, which is just kind of flying this plane over the river, avoiding, the obstacles, avoiding hitting the walls that are on either side of you. It takes that concept and it just adds onto it massively. So you have a few different game modes in this one, which is pretty cool. You have the regular raid mode, which is what River Raid basically is, where you are just trying to survive as long as possible. You are flying your plane or other vehicles. You actually can get multiple vehicles in this one, which is pretty cool. But you're flying your vehicle and you are basically just trying to stay alive as long as possible. You are going through and you are destroying bridges, just like in the original River Raid, and it will keep track of how many bridges that you've destroyed, so you can kind of try to do better the next time you play that mode. It does keep track of your high score as well, and something that they did a little bit different in this one is that you can actually collect coins as you are playing through this as well. So you can destroy the bridges and you will actually be able to collect coins from the bridges. You can destroy enemies and you'll be able to collect coins from the enemies. And whenever you do that, you can use those coins towards unlocking different vehicles. And the vehicles, I will say, it's definitely a grind to unlock them, but it's still cool that they even have that ability in this game, the ability to select different vehicles. I just think that's really neat. But the whole core game of the original River Raid is here. You are flying through, you're destroying enemies, you have to pay attention to your fuel gauge because your fuel gauge will slowly lower over time, so you need to make sure that you're flying over these carriers and make sure that you're refueling. So keep that in mind. And I will say it's a lot easier in this game than in the original River Raid to make sure that you still have fuel, because you can slow down your plane a massive amount. So you can basically stop completely right over it, fill up completely, and you're good to go for a while. So it definitely is easier. And that's part of the quality of life update that they definitely did with this game compared to the original River Raid. For example, another quality of life thing that they've done in this game is in the original River Raid, there would be jets that would fly and they would basically T-bone you. They would hit you on the side, and there was really no good warning that was going to happen. In this game, they give you a little red indicator on either side of your plane to let you know that, hey, these jets are going to fly and they're going to try to T-bone you. Watch out for them. So I like those little quality of life updates that this game has as well. I think they did a great job with just adding more to it. And again, they didn't just add just little small things either. They actually added a ton of stuff. They also added a huge variety of enemies in this game. So, you have the helicopters, you have the boats, you have stuff like that you are used to from the original game, but then they've just gone even crazier with it in this one, because they've actually added submarines. They've added these sea monsters, so you run into these areas where toxic waste is basically being poured into the water, and these giant crabs will pop up from that area, and you actually will be able to shoot down these crabs too. So I thought that was really cool. They even have UFOs that will fly over. They have kind of the same pattern as the jets, where they will try to T-bone you, but they're a bit more unpredictable because they'll kind of bounce up and down and move around a little bit more. They have more mobility than the jets do, so you have to watch out for them. But I just love that they added more enemies to this game. It just makes it a lot more fun. They added more things to dodge in this game as well. There's little mines that you have to watch out for. And there's also boulders and stuff in your way, and you can actually destroy some of the boulders, which is actually pretty cool. You can destroy some of the environment, not massive portions of it, but still, the fact that you can even destroy just some of the things that are in your way, that's still pretty cool. You can even destroy things like radar dishes that you see that are sitting on top of some of these like higher up areas. You can just shoot at them and destroy radar dishes, and that's pretty cool. So the regular raid mode, it is just an absolute love letter to the original River Raid, and you can tell like this is a spiritual successor, and it is phenomenal. They did such a great job with this game. And I love everything that's here. You know, you have your high score that you're going for, you have your limited amount of lives. It's the perfect arcade style game. They did a great job just making it for modern hardware, and I really, really enjoyed that. But not only do they have the regular raid mode, they actually went above and beyond, and they added a campaign in this one, which is really cool. And the campaign is essentially just doing a bunch of different objectives. You have 4 different chapters that you can play through, and each one has 10 missions in each chapter, and it's really just completing different objectives. So, for example, it will say destroy all the enemies on the map, and that's one of the objectives that you have to do in order to get to the next level. None of them are, I would say, difficult at all, but it is cool that they just gave you more stuff to do. I like that they didn't have to give you this extra game mode, but they did, and I think that's really cool. So there's stuff like destroy every enemy on the map. There's stuff that's destroy every bridge that you come across. There's some where it's rescue survivors. In this game, you can actually rescue survivors. You'll see these guys in like lifeboats, and they'll be waving a white flag around, and you can actually go up and hover over them, and you can rescue them. You know, you'll have the same kind of indicator that you get whenever you're refueling for like your fuel. It will do that same kind of indicator, but when it fills up this time, that means that you rescued the survivor. So I actually think that's a really cool little feature that they added in this as well. There's some missions that require you to destroy the radar dishes. I actually really like those as well. I think those are pretty cool. There's one mission that I actually surprisingly really like, and it is basically the goal is to fly through the entire mission without shooting your missiles once. So you have to fly through the entire level without shooting. So it is kind of more of an obstacle course at that point. And I enjoyed those levels a lot more than I expected to. So that was actually pretty cool. I like those. And then there's some where the entire objective is just not to lose any lives. So again, just more stuff to play, more stuff to do, and I really enjoy all the different missions that you have in this game. Now, this game is not perfect. It does have some issues, but nothing super major. The biggest issue I have with this game is that while the game does look nice graphically, it's a pretty game for what it is. They did a good job of just, making a very modern looking version of this retro style game. They definitely messed up when it comes to the main camera. The main camera in this game will zoom in and zoom out if you are speeding up or slowing down, and I'm not a huge fan of the way it zooms in and zooms out. I'm just not a huge fan of it. It's kind of distracting to me. I kind of wish that they would have had it static. I don't think that the camera needed to move back and forth like that. It's just a bit more distracting. That's kind of a personal thing, not a huge deal, but it is something that I noticed and I personally wasn't a huge fan of. But that's really my only major complaint with this game. I don't really have a whole lot of stuff to complain about because overall they succeeded in what they were trying to do. They took the original River Raid from the Atari 2600 and they just expanded upon it and made a fantastic, modernized, spiritual successor to that game. There's so much good stuff about this game. One thing I really like is you can unlock all those different vehicles that I was talking about earlier, and the vehicles that I used all had a different sound for the flying and for whenever they were shooting. And I thought that was just a really nice touch that they actually took the time to add different sounds for the vehicles like that. I thought that was really cool. The only other thing I could say that I'm not a huge fan of in this game is just the day-night cycle. I'm not a huge fan of the way that it goes from day to night, mainly because it doesn't really feel like it's going from day to night. It kind of just looks like someone's turning down the brightness on my TV. So I'm not a huge fan of that. That'd probably be the only other thing that is like a major complaint. But overall, I still like the look of the game. I like the feel of the game, like the sound of it. I think all that stuff is good. Even the music in the main menu and all that stuff is good as well. Didn't have any issue with that. I actually do like that it has different weather effects. I thought that was pretty cool. Some areas you'll see like snowflakes and stuff. And then sometimes you'll run into thunderstorms. And you actually have to avoid some of the clouds because the clouds can actually strike your plane and destroy your plane and you'll lose a life. So I actually like that. I do like the different weather effects in this game. I thought that was a nice little touch, and I thought that was pretty cool, actually. So, there's good things about what they did, and there's a couple bad things with the day-night cycle. But I do like that the levels do change as you spend more time on them. I just think that's a cool little touch, even though I'm not a huge fan of the day-night cycle. But overall, this is a phenomenal game, especially for the price. You pick this game up for $1 or less, it's 100% worth it. The funny thing is, like, Atari 2600 games are really cheap. So if you go and you pick up the original River Raid, it will still probably cost you more than picking up this game, even though it's still cheap. Like, that's how cheap this game is right now. River Raid is not an expensive game, but this is it's just cheaper. It's just cheaper for whatever reason, and I'm glad it is. I'm glad that there's a good, accessible way for people to play this game. And if you are a fan of shoot 'em ups, this is a really great one. I really enjoyed it. I think it's a lot of fun, and I highly recommend that you go check out Bridge Strike. It's a good, and I can't recommend it enough. There's no reason that should be this cheap, but I love that it is. So go check out Bridge Strike. It's phenomenal, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.